many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Prepared Mind channel. We made it to the weekend. Good golly. Get your questions ready, though. Second half of the show is going to be the Q&A. And I want to start with something that I just received today. The United States Postal Service finally got around to doing their job. I've got a letter dated March 6th of, well, this year. At least it's this year, 2021. It says, Dear John, hi from a teeny town in New York. Yes, there are patriots here in the vampire state. And it says, as I told Jolene, I am blank years old and have been fighting this battle since Goldwater in 1964. Serious prepping began 6 years ago. Listen, watch every one of your programs. Never miss, even though I don't say much. Someone has to be a listener. And everyone connected with the Prepared Mind on my daily prayer list. I want to thank you very much, Kathleen, for the letter. I'm very sorry that it just finally showed up and Jolene got it to me right away. Such a nice letter to get, folks. I get messages from you guys all the time. Additionally, I received from www.pewter.com. This would be Metal Man sent to me another Marine Corps flask with official Marine Corps stickers, sanctioned stuff, and same with this keychain. Thank you very much, Metal Man, for thinking of me and sending that. They're in Arizona, folks. Pewter.com is in Arizona, an American company, which is great. It says, hi, John. Thought you might be able to put this to good use. Love your great advice and humor from Metal Man. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, folks, for coming in, supporting what we do here at the Prepared Mind Network, which is getting America to realize shit has hit the fan. It's time to wake up. It's time to get prepared. And it's good to know that people aren't waiting until the last minute, that some of you have been ahead of the game, ahead of the curve. And, well, we're here now. We're right in the middle of the freaking painful part of the curve. And so I've got from Mr. Skylight a couple of quotes I wanted to read. And this one's from Thomas Sowell. And he is still going. He's not someone who was around 300 years ago. He says, it is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. Wisdom, folks, wisdom. Unbelievable. And knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave, says Frederick Douglass. And, quote, none are more enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. And that was Goethe. All great philosophy, and I want to thank you very much for sending those in. Folks, it has been one hell of a week. And it's not over. In fact, I don't think it ever ends. And I want to get, just hit you guys right between the eyes with one. Texas, the great state of Texas, has decided that they're going to block banks from involving themselves, from getting the benefit of being in the Texas municipal bond market because of their anti-gun virtue signaling. Folks, free states can hit back. Screw Bank of America, screw Citibank, screw JP Morgan, who have been virtue signaling and saying, well, we're just not gonna, we're not gonna allow. Oh, oops, I hit the wrong button there. Whoops. Banks are trying to run the country. They're trying to write laws without having the ability to write law. They're trying to punish us without having that authority. Right. Here's a great quote, right? or a great instance. Earlier this year, J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, he's also known as a great scumbag. He told a congressional committee that his bank won't finance gun companies that make military-style weapons for consumers. Folks, there's a difference between military style and military performance. Right? The difference between what the military gets and what we get is similar to taking a Ferrari and putting a Pinto engine in it, or an Escort engine in it, or a Nissan Sentra. Name your small underpowered car. Put that motor in a Ferrari chassis, and that's basically what you've got. This guy's an idiot. It's virtue signal. It's trying to make everyone believe that they have the good of America in mind. They don't. All they want to do is take down America, folks. All of these banking scumbags. So a big F you to Jamie Dimon, literally. And now we got some more very serious FUs coming, folks. And this one is a big tick-tock. Wake up, America. Over in Germany, folks. Over in Germany. Thankfully, it's not here. But the Antifa has issued a kill list for 53 politicians. Basically, it's their version of the Republican Party. It's called the Alternative for Germany, AfD Party. They were doxxed with their home addresses by Antifa ahead of the election. This is election interference. This is intimidation. It's terrorism. It's terrorism, folks. And the reason it's terrorism is because 700 Antifa attacked the family home of AfD Minister of Parliament, essentially a congressman, Peter Burston, just a few days ago. These people are violent communists. Understand, it is coming to America. It's not here yet, thankfully. We have time to get prepared still, thankfully. But this is what they're up to. This is what they want to do, folks. This is what they're after. What else are they after? Well, let's see. They want to destroy anything that has to do with American liberties and freedom. Politically, they want to scare everybody that doesn't agree with them. And now we've got this. Welcome to the end of the week, folks. But don't worry, Biden is on the job all week long. He wakes up from his nap. He signs a piece of paper. What does this one do? Well, they're preparing the U.S. government. Those people in D.C. are somehow preparing for what's going on in Texas. I think all they're preparing to do is make sure this happens. And that is that 400,000 migrants, they're expecting a 400,000 illegal immigrant, folks, surge in October. Right? The old record, I think, was 210,000 this month, last month. It's been about 200,000 a month, folks. It's looking like it's going to double. 400,000 migrants. And yeah, well, you know, the Biden administration is ready for it. I mean, what are they going to do? The only thing they will do is send Jen Psaki to the microphone to stand there and tell us how many she thinks it is and how it's all Trump's fault. Oh, she is such a wonder babe. Oh, Raggedy Ann. She is, I don't know whether to say she's despicable or disgusting. Right? She is continuing to blame Trump for President Biden's failures and lack of leadership with regard to Cerveza bug. You know, what she's appearing to me to be is a serial liar. The entire administration is all about no facts, no truth, nothing. It's about lying, blaming, putting things off, and not answering questions. Unbelievable, folks. And I thought, you know, it's Friday. Maybe they'll calm down. Maybe they won't do all they can to just piss us all off. Well, I was wrong. I guess if I'm going to be wrong about anything, it's trying to be a little bit optimistic at the end of the week, but I can't be. Folks, get this. What the fuck is wrong with these commie dipshits? Right? They can't seem to find any real KKK members, so they pretend to be them in yet another hate hoax. What is this, 3 this week that have gotten national non-mainstream media attention, right? A black woman in Atlanta is accused of pretending to be a white male member of the Ku Klux Klan and was threatening black neighbors. What is wrong with these people? The only real answer is, folks, the only real answer is they want to do this. They want us divided. They want members, I guess, in the black American community to be afraid, to be angry, to, I don't know what, attack, hate their white neighbors because there's a Ku Klux Klan person allegedly about. They want to divide us more, folks. They want us to hate each other, to be suspicious. And I've now heard plenty of black speakers, male and female, point this out. This is divide and conquer. This is pandering. This is racial pandering in the political arena. And this right here, this story about this woman who is pretending to be a white KKK man, this is an attempt to divide and hurt America. I guess because they can't find any real racists out there. And I know they're out there, but they can't seem to find any. They're having to do this. And it's patently obvious and transparent. And it's coming to everyone's attention. This is what the left does, folks. They lie, they cheat, and they steal. Not only that, but they badger and they bully every fucking buddy. Badger and bully everybody. How's this happening now? In California, folks, Governor Newsom, guess what? He's going to require that all students that attend school, once it's approved, will have to take the vaccine. Here it comes. Here it comes, folks. They're not giving up. They're not quitting. This guy was just in a recall election because he is so hated and reviled. Well, somehow he survived that. I wonder how that happened. Yeah, nothing untoward there. But yes, here it is. This guy. He steps right back into the arena and they want to crush freedoms and liberties and choices. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, welcome back. I want to remind everyone that thepreparedmind.club is a store to buy prepping supplies, whether we're talking about body armor, protection for your computer, ExpressVPN, water, solar, what have you. It's your store. And I don't care, folks, if you buy it there or somewhere else, just get prepared. Shit. And people are doing it. They're seeing what's going on, folks. Now, it is the end of the week, and there are some interesting news stories that have come out that are positive, right? I try and hit on the positive things to let you know that it's not all doom and gloom, that people are fighting back. But get this, folks. In the United States of America, a U.S. court has vindicated Edward Snowden, who was accused of what? Being a traitor. Well, he's not a traitor, according to the court. He's a legitimate whistleblower. And surprise, surprise, the judicial did something right? What they wrote was the warrantless telephone dragnet that secretly collected millions of Americans' telephone records violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. That's FISA. We hear about these FISA courts, FISA rules, FISA warrants. Well, there we go. So his whistleblowing, right, didn't make him a bad guy. It actually made him a good guy. Isn't it interesting how if you accuse the government, it retaliates against you and punishes you, America, for daring to expose it. But, you know, if I did something illegal, like, I don't know, What did Governor Cuomo do? Oh yeah, sexually harass a bunch of women. If I did that, and then if they tried coming out and I retaliated against them, what would happen? Oh, I would be accused of a secondary crime. But the United States government can go after Snowden, threaten to arrest him, destroy his life, his world, everything, right? Because they think they need to retaliate. It's funny how everything that the government does to protect itself, we're not allowed to do for ourselves, because everything we want to do is considered illegal, unlawful, unethical, immoral. But when the government does it, I guess it's all virtue. Unbelievable, but hey, congratulations, Edward Snowden. You're not a traitor anymore. Woo! But speaking of traitors, folks, get this. This is big, big, big news. Retired Green Beret Jeremy Brown. Retired. He ran for Congress, folks, as a congressman. He went to the January 6th protest and was standing outside the Capitol. Now, prior to January 6th, the FBI came and visited him. And he managed to get them on video on his porch talking to him. Then he agreed to meet with them, and he recorded. He did an audio recording of what they were asking him to do. And what they asked him to do was to be an agent of theirs, an infiltrator, an agent provocateur. Right? That's what they were trying to get. Another FBI informant slash stooge. And he refused. He refused to be their informant, their stooge, their ass kiss, their suck up, their bootlicker, and their toy. Now remember, he's actually a Green Beret, 20 years in the Army. Well, guess what has happened? You got it. The FBI has arrested him. For what? For standing outside the Capitol? For being in Washington, D.C.? This is retribution, folks. This is punishment. Because Jeremy Brown, Green Beret, retired, released that information. A couple of months ago, he came out and said, I can't sit on this anymore, not after watching Christopher Wray, right, head of the FBI, director, lie, and then lie some more to the American people about what the FBI was doing on January 6th. Meanwhile, they aren't doing a fucking thing about Antifa, Black Lives Matter, or any other Marxist violent terror group in this country. I don't seem to notice them doing anything either about all of these out of control foreigners that are here that want to play the game by their own rules and not obey American laws. Folks, it's big, big, big trouble. Now, rappers, the thugs from the hood, the badasses, the cool dudes, right? They got an image to uphold. Well, finally, it seems like somebody is starting to speak up against the tyranny that's going on. Pitbull, right? The rapper, songwriter, he's decided to come out and go after, to point out all of the anti-American corruption. Unbelievable, folks, that when it's rappers that are standing up. Now, of course, you're a patriot, law-abiding citizen. You're not a rapper, thug, gangster, pimp, drug dealer. But we can't get any real attention out here because we're shadow banned. We're blocked, we're locked down, we're just basically hidden by YouTube, which is why I ask you, hit the share button and share these videos with people outside, family, friends, co-workers. Share these videos so they get the information they need so they can make an intelligent decision. And now this is another huge piece of news, folks. In New South Wales, if you remember, the Premier, Gladys, she threatened everyone she threatened and said, hey, if you for all of you who haven't gotten the vaccine, you're going to be socially, it's so infuriating that she wanted them to be social outcasts in Australia. Can you imagine that, folks, telling Americans, I want you to be an outcast because you wouldn't obey me. You wouldn't obey our desire as the government. The government is threatening its own citizens with second-class citizenship, with outcasts, so they won't be able to get into banking, do business, go shopping, travel, have fun, live their lives as free people. Anyways, this stupid bitch resigned in disgrace because of a corruption probe that has been opened up over her. Folks, I wish we could have corruption probes on all of our politicians. But I mean, look what happens. At least this stupid bitch had the good sense to resign. We got Gavin Newsom getting caught, violating his own rules. Same with other governors like Prickster and Gretchen the Grinch in Michigan, right? Giving themselves and their spouses special traveling and just activities that are outside the norm for everyone else. Unbelievable, folks. I'm glad she resigned. Perhaps others in government around the world that are just absolutely the worst will do the same thing. And we have more, right? The corruption never ends, folks. This is why we're saying that there's going to be massive social unrest. There's going to be massive partisan conflict. And yes, even the potential for civil war because of what the government is doing. Biden's Department of Homeland Security, folks, has issued new guidelines that directly violate U.S. immigration law. It does this, folks. It tells agents not to deport illegals solely for being here illegally. What is the point of having a lawful system of entry and rules if they're not going to be enforced? It is the same to me as saying, okay, John, we pulled you over for speeding. Let me see your driver's license. And I go, well, I'm not giving you a driver's license. They're like, okay, then you're free to go, right? There's no penalty. The penalty is you come here illegally, we send you out. You get the fuck back out of the country. And you can come back when you legally do it right. Nope, not under the Biden administration, folks. It ain't that kind of movie anymore. It's not that kind of movie. Unbelievable. Senator Feinstein. When is she going to go away, folks? She wants people to require proof of vaccination for domestic flights in this country or a negative test for domestic flights to travel in our country. How does this happen? Well, because the federal government thinks that it owns the air. Did you know that? They own the air. So if you go up into the air, you're now in federal jurisdiction. That's right. You cross a state line, and the feds also believe that, well, you've crossed state lines, so therefore we have some say in things. So they think that they have, folks, this power, and they're going to keep pushing it, folks. They will not quit. They will not stop. They will not give up. They will not back down. They will not back the fuck off. Get ready for this to get worse, folks, worse. Unbelievable. I want to remind everyone of this as well. Right? Remember the New World Order. Remember when that was first talked about years and years and years ago. It was brought up by George H.W. Bush, who is now passed away, and his New World Order and his Brave New World and his 1,000 Points of Lights talking when he was president back in the late 80s. And then all through the 90s, anyone who mentioned the New World Order was considered a conspiracy theorist and a clown, right? The New World Order was a joke. It was a punchline. It was a theory based on conjecture. I want to ask you this now. How are we doing? How is America doing, folks? Let's see. Global mirrored political reactions by governments regarding cerveza bug. They're all doing the same thing. Some are a little more extreme than others, but they've all fallen in line. Mirrored banking systems, folks. They're all moving to digital currencies, aren't they? They're all talking about it. Global systemic economic failures. Everything's interconnected. You want one world government, the New World Order? How does it look to you? How are things looking, right? Global environmental laws. Carbon taxes that the people get to pay. Global destruction of constitutions and freedoms. Right? We had to listen earlier in this week to the Prime Minister of Australia tell the whole world at the United Nations how brilliant Australia is and how free it is. But we have seen, folks, how terrible Australian freedoms are. I don't call them freedoms at all. There is no freedom. You do as you're told, or the police start beating on your ass, right? The New World Order, folks, one world government. This year and last year, they started calling it the Great Reset. Are we there yet? Doubt me not, folks. Doubt me not. It's not looking good. We need to be prepared. And folks, in America, as you know, we have a Second Amendment. It's not a threat to discuss it. It is a fact. It's a fact that we have guns. Now, Australia doesn't. Australia doesn't, right? So in Melbourne, they're protesting in the streets. So many thousands of people that the police are asking airlines to make it a no-fly zone over the top, because they don't want anyone to see how many thousands of people are resisting Australia's lockdowns. That's how unfree they are. That's how New World Order thuggish they are. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, the Education Secretary, Miguel Cardona, says that parents, this is the Education Secretary under the Biden administration, says parents should not be, quote, the primary stakeholder in their children's education. So if the parent isn't the one who decides where a child goes to school and what type of education they get, who does this guy suggest? Who does Miguel Cardona suggest does get to make that decision? Well, of course, it's the federal government. The federal government. I mean, why don't they just proclaim that there's a state of emergency because of white supremacy, you know, European racism, and because of that, they need to teach critical race theory in schools, and the teachers and the government get to decide the curriculum, and parents have no more say. No more parent-teacher conferences, no more school boards that are elected. It's just all centrally managed right from Joe Biden's underwear. That's just the guy we need thinking about our children, right? Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Boy, where do I go? If the government, the bureaucracy, if private corporations are doing things that are illegal, right? Shouldn't they be heralded as heroes to the people? Well, I listened to an attorney, and his name was, what was his name? Thomas Renz. You know, he was giving a speech to thousands of people saying, you know, we have whistleblowers, people who are standing up. They're leaving their jobs. They know they're going to lose their job and they'll never get hired again in that field. But they believe they have integrity, folks. They have integrity. They're heroes for standing up and pointing out the unlawful behavior, acts that government does, that private business does. And there's a federal whistleblower, folks, who went public, and their secret reportings became part of the Project Veritas expose, right? That person has been placed on administrative leave. For this attorney, someone came out and brought out all kinds of papers, right, showing what a fraud everything Big Pharma is doing is. The lies, the fraud, the deceit. And so he's suing. They're suing, folks. The lawsuits have started. They're happening. Big question is do we have a justice system? Can the law be enforced through the judicial department, right? Lawsuits. Or are the courts just as evil, just as weak as everything else? Well, of course, unless they're talking about coming after you or me. I tell you, folks, get your questions in now. We're about to flip-flop, switch right over, folks. We're going to switch right over to your questions. But first, folks, I want to give you one last bit of good news out of my bag. Nebraska, the state of Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, Nebraska, it becomes the first state that is going to refuse to comply with Joe Biden's plan to let the IRS view your bank transactions. Folks, free states. Free states. Get ready for liberty, folks, and get ready for the fight. You have to fight face to face with tyranny. You can't be free at this point anymore and say it's someone else's job. I'm not going to do it. Let someone else handle this. Right? It's coming down into the states. It is Texas. It is Nebraska. It is Missouri. It is South Dakota. It is Florida. It is South Carolina. Right? Name your state. They all need to get on the same page, though. Instead of one picking this rule and one picking that, they need to just look, anything that is anti-constitutional, unconstitutional, anti-American, it's done. And for the federal government to say, hey, look, the IRS is going to come in and view all your bank transactions. Nebraska says, nope, we're not going to allow that. Folks, free states. States are, in this country, every state is a sovereign nation. It's a fact. They all have their own constitutions. Fact. They are independent of the federal government. Fact. It's just that the federal government, DC, thinks it owns everybody and can tell everyone what to do. All it is a meeting zone. That's all it's supposed to be, folks, is a place to meet where all the states can discuss rules that can only be applied in a very few ways with regard to individual states. But now they believe that the federal government, folks, is all powerful, all encompassing, and is the ultimate and highest authority in the land. It is not. It's the fucking weekend. I am whipped, beat, but there's no rest for us, folks. We have to get prepared. We have to stay prepared and stay up with current events. There's a lot going on out there. And now I want to see what you're thinking about. So let's get to your questions.
Are you ready?
You bet. I had the first half of the hour. I got my monologue in. It is time for the second half. You guys get the bottom half of the hour. What do you want to discuss? What do you want to discuss? We got Bob. He says, it appears that the world financial system may be face down in the dog park. I believe the days of kicking the debt can down the road is coming to a quick and brutal end. Thoughts? We used to really spend a lot of time talking about finance, economics, our economy here, gross national debt, right? Tax rolls. We did years ago start talking about that stuff and spent a great deal of time on it. We talked about constitutional money, gold and silver. We talked about a lot of that stuff. And then what happened? Well, what happened was the government, through the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, started kicking the can down the road, as Bob discusses. Kicking the can down the road. And what do we mean by that? Well, they started printing money. The plunge protection team, which was once a conspiracy theory, just like the New World Order, right? The plunge protection team was named. They named it by name. The president even called it that. The press, the president, everyone. And what they do is anytime there's a bobble in the economy, they come in and they just throw a bunch of money at the problem, prop everything back up. And they have done a stellar job at it. And I'm not congratulating them. I'm just accepting and acknowledging that it's been going on big time. They've been buying up debt, buying up mortgages. They've been bailing out companies, bailing out banks. And now we're starting to see the consequences of that. How can this country exist when so many people are refusing to go back to work? They're not working. They're not paying taxes. Businesses are going out of business. They're not paying taxes. Who's paying all the taxes to fund this country at the local, the state, and the federal level? I read somewhere that it's 40 to 60% of New York business is down. They're down 40 to 60%. Now, is that below the 2020 number, which was absolute garbage and shit because of Cerveza bug? It's down another 40 or 60%. Or is that just, it's still down that much compared to years ago? But see, that business is sales tax. That business is the tax on labor. Oh yeah, it's a labor tax, folks. They call it an income tax, but it's taxing your labor, which, by the way, is unconstitutional. Whew. They can kick the can down the road. They can keep printing money, but it's going to start having a disastrous effect, and that effect is inflation. The world reserve currency, the United States dollar, the petrodollar, is in peril right now. Right? What they're doing is they're going to continue to kick the can down the road the best they can, to hide debt, to buy up stocks. Now, to let you know how long this can go, Japan back in the early 1990s suffered an economic collapse they still have not recovered from. Almost 30 years later, Japan still has not recovered. Well, how are they surviving if they haven't recovered? They're limping along, and the Bank of Japan, the BOJ, the Bank of Japan owns just about all of the country now, because they print money and they buy stuff up and they buy out debt and they buy businesses. So they can continue to kick this down the road, but the U.S. is not Japan. The dollar, right, is supposed to be sacrosanct, very important, and they are damaging it mightily. Don't worry, China's damaging their yuan as well. Everyone around the world, their currencies are all going, and so yeah, I think we're going to start seeing an acceleration in the problems. But I wouldn't put it past them to find some way to lie to the world and say everything is fine, let's just keep going. I remember when the American economy required businesses here manufacturing, raw materials being produced, food being produced. Now, not so much. Let's move on if we shall. We got Deborah says, I am organizing a group in my area to come to my home to listen to John and would like to have a playlist together to play for them. I would love your suggestions on which videos to watch. Well, this is pretty interesting. I appreciate the question. It sounds like you're going to invite people. You're organizing a group. My suggestion would be to play the Prepping 101 videos. And then some of our more popular videos. The reason they're more popular is they speak a truth or speak to a fact or an idea that is widely needed to be heard. So I would do with that. I would go with the Prepping 101 videos, and then I would also go with the most popular ones because for whatever reason, they're the most entertaining, the most informative, the most action-packed. But what a great idea, Deborah, to say, hey, look, you guys need to wake the fuck up. Come on over. We're going to have some fucking popcorn. Watch this big, tall, sweet guy, talk about shit. Anyways, yep, there you go. Thank you. Great idea. I wonder if that can become a popular thing. Having prepper parties. Prepper parties. Hell, we got a party for everything else. Why not a prepper party? All right, we got Jay Clifton. He says, if you carve a pumpkin in September, it is called premature ejaculantern. Thank you, Jay. I was not ready for that one. Yeah, it is. It is now October, so you're not premature, I guess. But if you carve up your pumpkin now, you still may have some problems with it rotting and falling apart. Thank you, Jay. I hope your wife gives you a hard time for that one. Dennis says this: I get daily emails from military.com. Folks, military.com is a real website run by the military. He says, I get these emails every day, and today's it is saying that, quote, our next war in Afghanistan is already looming, and that this time it is going to be harder. Go figure. I'll tell you what, Dennis. Yeah, I wonder why it's going to be harder. Could it be, number one, that the United States government, Biden, Secretary of Defense, Jackass Austin, Joint Chiefs of Staff and their idiot leader, Milli Vanilli, could it be that these butt snarfs gave $85 billion in equipment to the Taliban? Number two, Could it be that if the American military shows back up, probably wearing fishnet stockings, lipstick, and I'm not saying that to make fun of the real warriors, folks. I'm making fun of these pansy-ass, candy-ass dipshits that think they belong in the military. The military, folks, is for men and women who want to serve this country and protect it. And that includes taking an oath to the Constitution and the American people and living up to it. Additionally, it is the military a man's world. So if you're going to be in a man's world, which means killing people and blowing shit up, you need to be a little thick-skinned. Women can be a part of it, yes. But it's a man's world. Because who are you going to be fighting out there, folks? You can't say, okay, Taliban, you need to have 10% women out there fighting against us. And the men need to take lots of soy and estrogen and kind of soften up a little bit. You guys are a little too hard and rough. Our military is we're gonna be cool with you and give you a chance to sissify yourselves. Sorry, folks, that's not how it works, right? But this idea of going back into Afghanistan, do you think our allies, our military allies like Australia, England, France, Germany, the Netherlands, do you think they're going to want to send, how about Canada? Do you think they're going to want to send their military there to Afghanistan in support of ours and to fight with ours? Since the president, the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, and Milli Vanilli pulled out and hung them all out to dry and screwed them and left their citizens there as well? And finally, do you think the Afghanis themselves, the Afghanis people, do you think they're going to trust the United States? What are they going to do? Come in and say, well, we're just here to kill people this time. We're not going to help you out. Fuck you. The Afghanis are like, you know what? You came in, we took a chance, and now you let these bastards, these terrorist bastards, take over the country, and people are being slaughtered and killed and made an example of and being subjected to these ridiculous, inhumane treatments. And now you want us to believe you again and stand up and raise our voices against these people? What, just so you can leave the country again? And then we can be punished even worse again by the Taliban? Unbelievable. Teresa has this to say: Americans feel helpless at this point. We have been challenged to oblivion. Up is down, bad is good. I hope people wake up before long. The dark winter is upon us. Trying my hand at fall and winter garden with a makeshift greenhouse, Semper Fidelis. Semper Fi to you. And yes, it is winter in America. It is winter for America, right? Winter is symbolic of death. It's cold, it's dark. That's how the American people feel. Folks, our government at the local level has shit on us. At the state level has shit on us. And at the federal level, the national level, it has abjectly failed us, their oaths, and the world. They've done so at our expense, enriching themselves, granting themselves special privilege and power. The mainstream media has failed us. Our institutions, our bureaucratic institutions, have failed us. Law enforcement, the judiciary, regulatory authorities. Folks, you can't invest in Wall Street. The Security and Exchange Commission, the all of them, all of the letters, the alphabet soup of letters, folks. The FTC, they don't do what they're supposed to do. They let the rich get away with everything and enrich themselves. So the American people have lost faith in their national institutions, and in most cases, their state institutions, with a very few exceptions, because they need to destroy this country. The political left needs to destroy it, folks. So do your best with the fall and winter gardening, right? Americans are waking up, though, folks, because the country is being killed intentionally. The people, you and me, we're not dead. We're not in our winter, right? I feel like life should be about spring, right? Rebirth, spring. And here's the deal, folks. We're going to go through a dark winter, a Great Depression. We're going to go through shit it's the fan. And on the other side of that is spring, is a rebirth. And I and you and everyone I know wants a constitutional republic once again, a representative government that obeys the people, not only the elected officials, but those who have been appointed, bureaucrats, etc. Jay Clifton comes back and he says, when you break down the military, law enforcement, and the medical, you have nothing left to support the people. Much easier, yes? When you break down the military, law enforcement, and the medical, you have nothing left to support the people. Much easier, yes? How to address this, folks? The military law enforcement or our militarized law enforcement? Now the deal is the same goes for military as medical now. There's not enough of them to get the job done. Right? In all truth, folks, the system can't support itself. What makes America great, what makes law enforcement functional, whether it's military or civilian, it doesn't matter. What makes it function is the people, a moral people, willing to obey the laws, right? Because they're good laws and we'll obey them. And so there's just a very small number that become the criminal element, and the police, the small number of them, proportionate to the population, small number of police, they can do their job, and they should anyways. But when government becomes lawless and the people refuse to obey, there are nowhere near enough of them to take care of it, to take care and uphold, right, and to keep the peace. That's the Mad Max scenario that's going to be coming to pass as we become criminals because the government has made us criminals. We're going to see police power stretched to its limits. And trust me, regular criminals are well aware of this, folks. They're well aware of this. They know that the police would rather harass somebody for not wearing a mask or serve a warrant on a door for somebody who has been deemed dangerous instead of going after the real hardcore scummy thugs. Now, when it comes to the medical side, right, they're dismantling that system as well. What are they going to replace it with, folks? It doesn't matter whether they replace it with a single payer or Obamacare, or just say, everyone, you're on your own. You pay cash. If there's fewer doctors and fewer nurses, we're going to see an incredibly painful lack of medical care in this country. The United States of America, crippled because somebody named Dr. Doom has made his proclamations and scared the world and actually used government power and duress and coercion to force the world and America to bend the knee to his shiny little shoes. And they've destroyed the medical system, folks. They've destroyed our economy. They've destroyed everything. It's just a matter of time before the world realizes it. And then we're going to realize what kind of trouble we're in. Best be prepared, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. It's best to be prepared for all that is coming. All right, we got David, and he says, regarding the New World Order, they've been working towards this for decades, playing the long game. Aren't there any organized resistance to this? Essentially, where are the Jedi to fight the dark side? Well, the Jedi are here. Right now, some of the Jedi are over in Afghanistan helping rescue Americans. The Jedi, if you will, are the real military, not the fake ones wearing fishnet stockings under their skirts while they take synthetic estrogen and put lipstick on their faces and pretend like they're brave. Not that military. I'm talking about infantry, ground pounding infantry, mechanized artillery support, and 0300. Army, Marine Corps, doesn't matter. That's the Jedi. Now, also, veterans, military veterans. We're kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're out in the desert. We're in the jungles and swamps. We're up in the mountains. We're in the prairies. We're just kind of hanging out. Kind of like retired Jedi, just like, that old guy, Ben Kenobi. Well, all it takes is a call to arms. And folks, that call has gone out already. The call has gone out. The veterans, the Jedi, if you will, are awake. The military, the good military, the patriotic American military, it is already awake, and they're pissed off. They're pissed off. All it's going to take, folks, is a little bit of violence, right? Put those red ants in a jar, put the black ants in a jar, and kind of shake them up, and you got an ant war. They're separating us, folks. Not really by color, because that evokes the idea of race, but it's partisan. Well, I guess it's color. It's red and blue. Red meaning free, blue meaning slave. Red meaning individuals who love liberty. Blue meaning communists and sellouts and weaklings who want to rely on someone else. Right? Rugged individuals in the red states. Improvise, adapt, overcome, strong, courageous, willing to look out for themselves. Over here, you've got a bunch of sissified people who want to rely on everyone else for a paycheck and to tell them what to do and to help them deal with their problems, giving lots of hugs when they have they need their safe space. Right? So, the Jedi are to use magical powers and lightsabers. In the real world, we're a little more practical. But there are millions and millions and millions of veterans who would bolster our regular forces. Bolster them. That is to say, support them in what is coming. What is coming exactly? I don't know. Where is it going to be fought? I don't know. Is it going to be overt, covert, or somewhere in the middle? I don't know. Because I'm not the one who has the authority to make things happen. If I did, I could probably give you some more exacting details. It's coming though, folks. Now we got Aloha Prepper checking in. Aloha there. I hope all is well out in the Pacific. I know that my Islander brothers are not real happy with what's been happening, and they're here, folks. They're not only in the islands, they're also on the mainland. Islanders everywhere. And I myself am an Islander. I love having this discussion with them. Like, what? I go, yeah. Iceland is an island, and they got 4 volcanoes. How many volcanoes have you guys got? And it's funny. Good stuff. Love Islanders. This is what Aloha Prepper says. I say we should convince those healthcare workers who are being fired to establish community clinics. Thank you so much for bringing up this topic directly. Yeah, we've got all these doctors, and they're like, I quit. I'm not going to work for this big hospital system. And so they've quit. Then you've got nurses who said, I'm not going to work because I don't want the vaccine, and so I quit working for this big hospital system. And then you've got other healthcare professionals who said, I don't want to work for this hospital system because they require a vaccine. And so they've been fired or they resigned. That's a significant number of healthcare professionals. I have a funny feeling there are a number of us out here who would be more than wanting to use them as our physicians, because at the very least, they have demonstrated that their number one concern is health. Health, folks, the health of themselves and the people they care for. That they're not willing to trade, right, their integrity for a paycheck. They're not willing to trade their integrity, right, for money. Right? They'll get paid in money, but they're not going to trade their integrity, folks. I would rather have that be my physician than somebody who, okay, he went to Harvard Medical School, he went to UCLA Medical School, whatever medical school. But I don't know if they're trying to take care of me to enrich themselves or to pay back a pharmaceutical corporation. Can't trust them anymore. And trust is extremely important when it comes to healthcare, folks. Trust is extremely important. All right. Thank you very much, Aloha Prepper. I'm hoping they open clinics, private practice. Now, the thing is, though, the one thing is the expense. MRI machines. A lot of the technology is so expensive. It'd be hard for a small private clinic. But perhaps they can do something. Maybe they can do something like create a union. Isn't that allowed under the Constitution? But it would be a free union, right? A co-op, a medical co-op, if you will. Let's see how this all shakes out, folks. We've got a lot to deal with here. Some countries have given up, absolutely given up the bullshit with cerveza bug. Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, good for them. Damn proud of them. But other countries are doubling down. And I think America is going to be one that doubles down. We're seeing it with Gavin Newsom and his horse shit, saying that students are going to have to get the Jim Jones juice to go to school as soon as, if and when they get approved. Why? Where's the scientific rationale? Still waiting. All right, we've got Tennessee Mountains Preparedness says, John, what do you think of the idea of every American being sent a pocket copy of the Constitution? Maybe some percentage would wake up and contact their representative. I would love that every American citizen be given a Constitution. I have several of those pocket Constitutions. Typically, I've gotten them because somebody is handing them out. I have seen people handing out Constitutions, folks, at shopping malls, outside of stores, at libraries. There are groups, folks, that print up hundreds and thousands of these little small pocket Constitutions. In fact, a few times, years back, I kept one on my desk. I don't have one right in front of me. It's over there. But I still have it. I still have it. And it's a great idea. People need to go, oh, you mean that's the Constitution? That's all it is? It's just a few pages of rules restricting the government and allowing the government very specific duties. And then protections for the people. That's all the Constitution is? Yeah, it's not difficult, folks. It's right there in English. And typically those Constitutions also come with a copy of the Declaration of Independence. So you can read that too. The Bill of Rights, the Declaration, and the Constitution. Great idea. I recommend if that's what you want to do, that's how you can, that's the purpose you want to fill. There are people out there who have no clue what the Constitution is. They think it's books and books and books of statutes. It's none of that. It's none of that. Now we got Aloha Prepper is back and says this: the new red flag law they're trying to enact does apply to retirees. Well, I'm not retired. Right? To say you've retired from the military, you've got to put in your 20 or 25 or 30 years. I was enlisted and now I'm not. Many people were enlisted and they're not. Now, perhaps they're saying any veteran is going to be subject to this attempt, this red flag law that, well, you know, a military court can take a look at your case as an ex-military person, whether you're fully retired or you just served a few years. Whether you're enlisted or commissioned, this military court all of a sudden has jurisdiction over me? I don't think so. I don't take any military benefits. None. The only military benefit I have is, things like my flask and that I have a sticker on the back of the green tank. Stuff like that. But they have jurisdiction over me? Under what authority? Right, the military jurisdiction falls under the United States government in Washington, D.C., forts, arsenals, and dockyards. That is it. They do not have general jurisdiction over the rest of us. It's completely unconstitutional. But I do understand what you're saying, and that's what they are proposing. Now, what gets me is they know it's unconstitutional. They know it's a violation of the Second Amendment. They know it's a violation of the First Amendment. They know it's a violation of all of our amendments, folks, the Bill of Rights. They know it's a violation of common law. They know it's a violation of God's law. They know it's a violation of natural law. But they think they can pass it and then make us fight them in court while they jack us around. Well, I tell you what, folks, I know a lot of veterans who would be more than willing to turn in their weapons if somebody said, oh yeah, a court says that you can't have that anymore. I'm sure they would give it back to them one round at a time, because we need a proper accounting system, do we not? Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. I'm going to give them to you one at a time. Here's 4, here's 5, here's 6. One at a time, folks. One movement of the finger, one round given right back. That way we can sure, hey, be sure and count these. It's that serious, folks. We're getting to that point in this game, if you want to call it a game. It is a sick game. And the masters who are sitting on each side of the table are a bunch of sick bastards, because they're fighting over who gets to own us. Unbelievable. Absolutely unfucking believable. Folks, we're going to do Sunday Night Live on the Prepared Mind channel. It's going to be the zoo. We're going to have YouTube and Patreon show up together. Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Sunday night. It's going to be one hell of a show. We're going to see how this plays out, folks. They're not going to give up. They're not going to back off. They're coming after our Second Amendment. They're coming after your First Amendment. They're going after, there is no medical amendment. So how is it they think that they can tell you what to do medically? Right. Well, if they don't like you, they're going to violate your Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights as well. That's where we're at, folks. Tyranny is run amok. They're not quitting. They're not going away. They're not stopping anytime soon. So get yourself prepared, and then understand, folks, you're going to have to make a decision at some point, because something out there is going to happen. And all of a sudden, your world is going to change. Same thing for me, folks. All of a sudden, the world is going to change, and there's going to be a whole new set of rules that we're playing by. Those rules are what you know to be right. You're going to have to improvise, adapt, and overcome problems that are in your face. Right? Shit hitting the fan. Right? How would you think? Let's just say this. If you were in your town today, normal America, not 5 years ago, normal America, you're downtown, you're at the not Starbucks coffee shop getting a cup of fucking French roast, and you see someone run by screaming, holy cow, the Nazis are here. And you stick your head out the door and you look all the way down at the other end of the main street, and there are a bunch of Nazis and Nazi tanks coming your way. What would your reaction to be? Well, not on my fucking watch. The Nazis aren't going to take my town. And you would hightail it and get your guns and take care of the problem. Folks, we have tyrants right now. They're starting to come down Main Street, and they're declaring that they are the new masters. Does it matter if they're wearing a swastika and speaking German compared to speaking English and pretending to be Americans? They don't like America, folks. They hate America. They hate you. They hate the Constitution. But we're supposed to be, it's cool. You were elected by some turds, and so I guess you're the new bosses. I don't think so. The reaction should be the same. These people are coming down our streets soon, folks. And they are every bit as bad as the Russians or the Nazis of the 1920s and 30s. They're a bunch of murderous thugs. They're just playing nice right now. Will you be ready? Do you have the courage of your convictions? Are you prepared? Chance favors the prepared mind, folks. That's why we're here every day. And thank you for supporting us with PayPal donations, with Super Chat donations at the club. I'm sorry, on Sunday Night Live, and for shopping at the club, right? Everything you guys do supports our mission. And our mission is to get everyone prepared because it is coming. Godspeed to you all. Semper Fi.